So I'm going to show you today how to design a wallpaper along with introducing a really cool new service that is exploding in popularity. So Steemit is a social media platform that allows users to submit and curate content, and what really makes it unique is the fact that you're paid for it in what's called Steem, Steem dollars, and Steem power. Now you can take this digital currency and ultimately get real US dollars out of it. So before I continue, let's show you the project that I'm going to show you how to design. So as you can see, pretty cool, and the symbol in the middle is the logo for Steemit. And that's what we're going to base this wallpaper out of. And it's going to be a 4K resolution wallpaper. And basically this Steemit is, like I said, is brand new. And what's really cool is how fast it has grown. And it's also still in its infancy. And that's why I'm introducing you guys to this really cool service. All right, so what I want to do to get started here is just a preface that we're going to use Adobe Photoshop for this. I'm using CC 2015, the latest, and I'm also using a Wacom tablet. Now, this is not technically a tablet, it's a monitor that you draw on called a Cintiq, but you can use the Intuos and even Bamboo just the same. So don't feel like you need this really expensive monitor. I probably shouldn't have bought anyhow. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna switch over here to the Cintiq and I'm going to get up Photoshop. All right, so first we have to determine what size we want the wallpaper. Traditionally, I would say with the advent of 4K monitors, we want to use a resolution, obviously, that's pretty large. So the resolution that I'm going to use is 3840 by 2160. All right, so everything else, resolution 72 is fine. Color mode RGB, definitely, and hit OK. All right, now second, we want to open up the logo, which I'll provide in the description. So let's go ahead and go to File, Open. And where are we at? Completely not the folder that I wanted to open, no big deal. There we go, steam.ai. And when you open this up, you'll get this that'll pop up and you just hit OK. Now we only want this top symbol, not the actual letters there. So we'll select that, copy it, and then paste it in. I'm gonna hit Control T. With Shift and Alt, I'm going to scale that down, probably right around here. It's pretty good. And hit Apply. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to take the background and I'm going to make it, sorry, all my windows or dialog boxes are showing up on other monitors, so I'm like dragging them over here, no big deal. All right, something that's not quite black, maybe 141414. We'll hit OK, and then use the paint bucket tool to fill in the background behind that. Now the next step is I want to do a color overlay because I want these all to be the same color. So clicking on layer 1, which we can double click and rename to logo, we'll go ahead and get up the layer styles. Of course, they're all over the place, fucking Windows. All right, and then what we want to do is hit color overlay, and ultimately, they will be black, but for now, just so we can see a little bit better, I'm going to lighten it up, right around there, which is 4C, 4C, 4C if you're following along here. Okay, cool. So we're going to use just one custom brush, which is also linked here in the YouTube description. And this brush, if we click on brush tools, is right here. It's kind of like a cloud brush, if you could see the preview there. Now, what we want to do is, before I continue, I'm going to rasterize this so we don't need the color overlay anymore. So right click and rasterize layer style. All right, now it's all baked in to the pixel data. So what we want to do is create or use the claw brush to create a kind of like a large gray background. So I'm going to come just on the background layer, click the new layer icon there at the bottom, and we're going to choose a gray color here in the middle, maybe a little bit darker. And then I'm going to get my stylus out here. And currently we want to change this so that my touch strip toggles the brush size right there. Okay. There we go. And my right one toggles the zoom. Okay. All right. So now I take this and just very lightly just start brushing with different intensities. We'll create kind of just a texturized, cloudy sort of area. Again, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing either. Just so it's kind of roughly filled in. Kind of like that. All right, cool. Now, we want to create a layer that's set to a blend mode of vivid light to create some just burns around the outer side edges of the symbol right here. So let's create a new layer just behind or beneath the logo layer. And I'm going to scale this down quite a bit. And we're also going to use an orange color. Right around there will work well. And that color code is FF9500. All right, so we want to change this again to vivid light. All right, so you may have to experiment with this a few times just to see how dark you want this. Not dark, but how big you want the brush size rather. And I'm just kind of, while I'm doing this, I'm changing the brush size, especially at the ends, because we don't want them to be too big. Yeah, something like that. And then just do the same thing with this one. And also I have set up my express keys, and I don't use all of them. I probably should, although I don't really use the Cintiq very often. I've set just a few just for undoing. Control-Alt-Z I've set that to, and I'm always using that. All right. All right, not bad. You can add kind of just a bigger ones to thicken it up a little bit. All right, cool. All right, so I'm just looking over, by the way, to my other monitor just for the directions I've set up. I don't want to miss anything. So we're going to create another layer just above it. And this one is going to be set to a color burn for the blend mode. So right here, and this is going to be basically a large cloud, like real large. As you see, I'm like getting this up quite a bit, and yeah, we don't want to go that big. There we go. And yeah, we'll set this kind of right here for now. And this gives it a little bit more color. And what I want to do is take the eraser tool with the same cloud brush. So we can click down here on the settings. There we go. And we can also remove some of this. I don't want it to all be filled in there. And also the pressure sensitivity is on, so you may have to hit a little bit harder. All right. Now what I want to do is we're going to go back to the logo and give it the color overlay of black this time, because now we can we'll be able to see it more because there's more contrast behind it. All right, and now what we're going to do is create a selection around everything inside of this logo. So what we do is hold Control and then left click right here, and that creates an outline. Then I want to go to Select, Modify, and Contract. And we want to contract it probably around 8 pixels. Hit OK. And you can see it contracts the edges of the selection. And we're going to create here a new layer. And what we want to do is take the gradient tool here, and I'm just going to choose kind of we'll leave it at white actually. What I want to do now is create a clipping mask out of that selection. So now you can see there's a clipping mask there. We switch over here to select it. We can fill it in with white. Sorry, I don't know why I thought I had to use the gradient tool. So now it's all filled in with white. Now we're going to create another selection the same way. So Control and left click on the logo. All right, and then I'm going to take just the marquee tool and just pull this down just a little bit. And you can use your keyboard arrow keys right around there. And what I want to do is switch back to the layer above it, the clipping mask layer, and hit delete. And then Control D to deselect. So you can see we have sort of like this very slight glossy portion. And we created that pretty simply. And that's a lot easier than sitting there with a brush trying to get it perfect. Okay, so I don't want to leave it exactly like that. What I want to do is we're going to duplicate it and hit enter. And I'm going to double click on it, and we're going to choose colorize, sorry. Can't talk. A little bit more orange, I think. We'll hit OK, hit OK. And then what I want to do is I'm going to right click, rasterize layer style, and then take the eraser tool, and we'll choose just a soft feather default brush. And kind of just get rid of a portion of it where it's kind of like hotter in the middle. You could choose not to do that step if you don't want to. Not really that big of a deal. I'm going to take both of these layers and merge them. So Control E while selecting both layers. And then I want to, I don't want to quite do that. I'm going to take the opacity down maybe to 47% and just get rid of the ends a little bit, just so they fade. All right, so far so good. Let me look at my notes here. So what we want to do now is kind of add or begin to add smoke that's coming on top of these designs here, or the symbols. So we'll create a new layer just at the very top. And what we'll do now is switch back to the brush tool. We don't need it to be quite that big. And we'll use just a gray right around there. And then we'll start pressing. Just a little bit. Almost looking like there's just a ton of smoke, or steam rather, coming up. Yeah, I think that looks good. And then what I want to do is also add a clipping mask layer. So we're going to create a new layer and then right click and choose Create Clipping Mask. And we're going to choose the orange color that we had, or just any orange color. You don't have to be perfect. And then just give some of it color, probably more near the bottom. So what this is doing is only adding color because it's a clipping mask layer on the previous layer that it's pointing to. Okay. All right, so now I want to add some finer detail in, I would say, brighter glow on the fiery portion. So just above that layer, we're going to create a new layer. And we're going to get this to be a little bit smaller. I'm going to zoom up. And we're going to make this more, almost closer to yellow. And let's see here. Yeah, that'll work, just like this. And you don't want it to necessarily be applied to everything or go along the entire stretch like that. Or you could if you want. I just think it adds a little bit more variety. If you don't. Okay. All right, so we have to keep on doing the same thing. So this Steemit thing, while I'm doing this, is very repetitive, takes a little bit of time. Of course, if you find value in this tutorial, definitely check out Steemit and the page that I link in the description here on YouTube, and upvote and comment on this post. Also, participate in the rest of the community. You can actually make money by not necessarily creating content, but also by participating and commenting and upvoting. It has an algorithm that I don't quite fully understand, but it's definitely interesting. So give it a shot. All right, just about done here with this step. All right, cool. So let me zoom out here just a bit just to see what this is looking like so far. All right, so far so good. I think what I want to do now is we're going to add some cracks to make it look like this is just a cracked concrete of some sort. So what we'll do is just almost at the very bottom after the background layer, we want to go ahead and add a new layer. I'm going to zoom up. And I'm still going to use the cloud brush for this, except it's going to be quite small, and we're going to use black. So, sorry, I hit the mic there. Actually, just so I can see a little bit better, we're going to drag it up a few layers. It's still too big. There we go, it's a little bit better. This is also a repetitive process, but it's also really fun. Just adding these different cracks here. And try to make them look natural. Generally, you don't see cracks that look like that. They're kind of just ragged, straight edges everywhere. God, I wish I could make this go faster. Just about done here. It's just one of those things that kind of improves the composition, gives it a little bit more personality, I guess you could say. Like that. Almost done. All right, that looks pretty good to me. All right, so I'm gonna zoom out here just to see what we have going. Also compare it with the view that I had. All right, so I'm also going to add a layer on top of everything, and we're going to use a large, just regular brush for this one. A large feather brush. We're going to make this big, so increase the size of this quite dramatically, and choose like a color like that. I'm just going to left click once with my mouse, and then I'm going to experiment with the layer blend modes. The way you do this is you select one like this so it's highlighted in blue, and use your keyboard down arrow key. And this can give you some different looks essentially. So let me zoom up here while I do this. So I actually kind of do like multiply. Color burn, that's pretty cool looking. And what's also cool is if you see, for example, this screen, obviously this washes everything out, looks like crap. You can use the eraser tool though. It really does make it look interesting. Like for instance, if we took this beneath that layer and possibly we did enough with, let me put this up to 100% and also choose our cloud. This may or may not work, by the way I am intending it. So I'm just kind of coming up here in the middle, trying to preserve some of it just around the edges. This is going in a slightly different direction than what I had originally. That's no big deal. You can also take the opacity down. And so here's what this looks like toggling this on and off. So it does add brightness, but let's keep on messing around with the blend mode to see if there's one that might be a little bit better. Ooh, I like that. That's overlay, yeah. And we can always, as well, duplicate that layer. And I can add more intensity. Let's bring this to the top. Kind of like that too. All right, so I'm going to add a layer at the very bottom. We're almost done, by the way. And this is going to be black with our cloud brush. I'm not seeing anything right now. What the fuck? There we go. Just to add some darker spots with the clouds. I went down too far. There we go. I'm also going to add another layer to the top where I add a little bit more smoke, near the top at least, maybe underneath that portion. Just use gray. And make sure we'll go to the very top here. Oops, I had the eraser selected. That's why it wasn't working. A little bit too bright. Let's take that down. And so I'm just kind of adding the kind of steam that's coming up. And by the way, I know it kind of looks like crap, but we're going to fix that in a second. I may not use this though, I'll be honest. But a lot of this is about experimenting anyhow. You very rarely just go into a design like this or a composition and knock it out of the park and every idea works. All right, so now what I'm going to do is take the eraser tool and just cut back some of this. We don't want it to be so pronounced in areas. And then also it's sticking out a little bit too much, so I'll take the opacity down. Yeah, maybe like that. All right, and that is it. So that's how you create one of these wallpapers. Now, again, if you want to offer multiple sizes, you can adjust the canvas size after saving them. So, you know, you probably save it as a JPEG, a high quality JPEG, and then go to image, canvas size. Of course, that showed up on another monitor, bring it over, and you could adjust to, you know, any of the popular. There's a lot of different monitor sizes and resolutions that you want to aim for when you're creating a wallpaper. And this is where you could adjust the canvas size. And then sometimes you'll want to use image size as well, especially if we're going down like so far, they're like 1280 by 720. If you use canvas size, it's going to cut the canvas off, but not scale down the image itself. All right, so that, my friends, is basically it. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did like the tutorial, like I said, please check out the link in the description here on YouTube and join up and then upvote and comment on this post and, you know, perhaps even learn more about Steam. Let me know what you think. All right, I will talk to you later.